Welcome to Fun with the Paper Mill with Arnold Grummer. Arnold Grummer is past curator of the Dard Hunter Paper Museum and author of 2 books on hand papermaking. Today, Mr. Grummer will be using the Paper Mill Complete Papermaking Kit and the Paper Mill Pro Envelope and Stationery Kit. Both kits use the easy pour method to make paper and are available in sets for home or classroom use. Now, here's Arnold Grummer.
Hi, and welcome to Volume 3 of Fun with the Paper Mill. In this volume, we're going to take a look at surfaces, how to put subtle textures on them from things like cloth and some obvious textures from floor tiles and other things. And there's the surface treatment of embossing and its opposite, glazing. Then we are going to take a brief, basic look into the wonderful, mysterious, mystique world of watermarks. Very exciting. Let's get started. There are 1,000 different textures, and even more than that you can put on the surface of your sheet of paper. Wherever you see a texture in the world, on a wall, on a floor tile, or what, that texture can be captured on your paper. And it's not hard. It's very easy. Let's go to the world of fabrics, all by itself. Thousands. Every different weave in your fabric store is a different texture you can transfer to the sheet of paper. Take a look, for instance. If you want a linen finish, and many people do because it's thought of as being very chic indeed, there is a linen cloth. It'll deliver a linen finish to your sheet. You want something finer, that's a much finer weave. And if you were in the service during World War II as a sailor and had the dress white uniform, that's good duck. A piece of it will make a beautiful finish on your sheet. And you've got a bandana. Wouldn't it be fun to have that finish on your sheet? You can put it there easily. Look at this. It's a very open weave, but the threads are very small. That's very nice texture indeed. If you want something much more pronounced, look at that. There's a heavily ribbed threading running through there, and if you put that on the top of your sheet, it will be pronounced indeed. Very famous in history, the Couchfeld, and it delivered its own kind of finish texture on the sheet. This is very, very coarse. If you want something that people can see and feel, there it is. And maybe you don't want to cover the whole sheet with the texture, just a strip. That will be a texture, the burlap. And here is my favorite. It is a cotton bed sheet, and it delivers a texture on my paper that I dearly love. For all my best papers, that's what I use. We're going to show you how this is done, and we're going to use this one to do it with. So, what we do, follow the directions very carefully, and you'll have no problem. We've taken 3/4 of an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, tore it up, put it in here, with 2.5 cups of water, around 30 seconds. That gives us our pulp. We put the kit together, the Paper Mill kit. There it is. We take the pulp and pour it into the hand mold, get the fibers evenly distributed with a little turbulence, and lift it up, and that gives us that beautiful sheet. First time anybody tries, as a matter of fact. And of course, what I'm doing here with this size, you can also do with the Pro, the 8.5 by 11 inch size. Be absolutely the same. We lift that out and put it over here. Now, this is important. Your sheet's surface is most vulnerable when it is most wet, so you don't take away an iota of water. Now, instead of using, according to the directions, the cover screen, what we use is our texturing cloth, and we put that directly on top of the mat of wet fibers like that, and follow the directions. Take the sponge, remove water. Now you can probably guess that whatever the weave of this cotton sheet is, and to whatever degree it can be felt touched, that is being delivered to that very wet surface. And we leave that texturing sheet on there right through to the end until the sheet is bone dry. Then you take it off, and that is the way to deliver the texture most effectively. Now again, we go to the directions, and we'll just take these and move these back here. And we put a couch sheet on top of that, turn it over, and couch the sheet off just as the directions say. Lean on it like that with the sponge. Now notice we're putting the wet sponge on the screen, not on anything else. And lift the screen, and that takes the sheet off, and we have it on the texturing sheet. Now we put this on top and we press. It is probably obvious that the more pressure you get here, the more that texture is going to be put on and put against and mark the sheet that we're making. So it's much better than doing it this way, is to put it in this press and get 2 tons of pressure. That will really deliver that texture. If you don't have that, get a stack of books, get a cinder block or whatever, get some pressure on there and let it dry slowly under pressure. That gives you the beautiful paper with the beautiful texture. However, if you want the sheet right away, you have no choice but to dry it by heat, as we've said in these series of videos that we're doing. So we bring it over to a board upon which we have put a layer of cloth, and we apply the iron. Now, you're going to take a little bit more time, a little bit longer to do this, because you're drying not only the sheet of paper, you are drying the texturing cloth. But it's important to leave that cloth on there, because as the paper dries, the texturing and shrinks, the texturing cloth shrinks and dries with it, and that's where you get that texture firmly set upon the surface of your sheet of paper. So don't move the iron too fast so that you get the heat down there. You see the steam coming up, and I think we are approaching 0 dry here. And we will remove the sheet and show you that on one side we have the beautiful texture of the cotton sheet. On this side you're going to have more of a smooth texture because you're leaning on it with a quite highly polished surface, which is your iron. And let's just take it off here. And there it is indeed, and I can see it from where I am and I can feel it. I don't know whether you can or not. But your user and your maker will really be able to tell. Hey, let's take a look at some other samples. These 2 examples are prominent enough to be picked up by the camera. Here is the ribbed cloth and the texture repeated. Here is a linen cloth, the texture repeated. More subtle surfaces are hard for the camera to pick up, but they are just as real on the surface of the paper. Now, here is a very fine texture. We'll let the camera show you what it can. Over here, notice what the burlap did as an accent stripe on another sheet. So really, the only limit to the number of textures you can put on your paper is how many fabrics you can find.